Welcome to the Vault Excel. Thank you for joining me. Hope you all are well. Hope you all have had a safe and warm, cozy week. Please be safe this weekend. I have one update to bring to you all pertaining to the Idaho for Brian Kohlberger. His attorneys have filed a motion to have his trial moved out of Laptop County. That is the latest developments in the Idaho 4 slangs. When I get more information, I will bring you an update. And we can periodically, through the live stream today, discuss that motion. I will put the link in the chat for anyone that would like to come up on a panel to discuss that update and the content at hand. Pertaining to the 3 men who died in Kansas City many weeks ago, their families have met with the district attorney's office. And I'm going to play you that content. News Nation is the source. And the second part of the live will be pertaining to allegations against Jordan Willis, that he supplied the friends with drugs. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie129 Cash App, stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Thank you for joining me. News Nation is the source.
We have new information that may indicate we have less of a mystery in this case of the 3 dead men in Kansas City. Jordan Willis, the man who lived in that home, whose story has kind of been, let's say, inconsistent. He has now checked himself into rehab. So that fuels an assumption, even without the toxicology, that drugs played some role in what happened here. There's another survivor who was also there that night, who has a past that is also instructive of drugs being part of this behavior. And that doesn't make the loss any less painful. It doesn't make the loss any less tragic that these young men with families are here no more, no matter what their choices were. Also today, after weeks of silence, the police finally met with the families of the deceased. What did they tell them? Let's bring in Fox 4 KC reporter Malik Johnson. He's been covering the case in Kansas City. Also joined by former FBI agent, News Nation Law and Justice contributor, Jennifer Coffindaffer. Malik, thank you for coming back. What do you know?
Of course. So we know that these families met with the prosecuting attorney who will be in charge of bringing charges if this case rises to that point today. We know all 3 families were represented in this meeting. Clayton McGeeney's family, Ricky Johnson's family, and David Harrington's family. We spoke with the attorney representing the Johnson's family after they left this meeting, and they left satisfied, they said. They said finally they feel heard, that after weeks of not being able to get in contact with police, not being able to get in contact with the prosecuting attorney, they finally felt heard. And most importantly, they said that they feel as though that this is being taken seriously. I know that they've been on your show and the families had explained to us how over the last few weeks they felt as though this wasn't being taken seriously, as though this was just being looked at and looked over in a sense. But now they say, after today's meeting, that they understand why police and prosecutors have moved the way that they have. And quite frankly, they were hopeful. They were optimistic walking out of that courthouse in Black County today, Chris.
Malik, you've been filling in the facts and details of what we know and what we don't know. The time of death is going to be instructive. Jennifer and I will talk about this. But what have you learned?
Yeah, so this is some new reporting that we actually just got to today, working with our sources to get it all confirmed. But as you say, it is so important because it goes to that timeline. When did this happen? How did this happen? And now we're learning that these 3 men, at least one of them, presumably all 3 of them, were up as early as about 2 a.m. Monday morning. So we know that this 5th person left just after midnight, and now we know that these 3 men were still up at about 2 a.m. Monday morning. So what happened between that 2 a.m. period and that 10 p.m. on Tuesday night period is going to be instructive in figuring out exactly what happened. But we do know now, and I think it's a huge thing, Chris, because the timeline is the most important thing, considering these 3 men were in the backyard for as long as they were. So how long were they actually there? And every day we're making inroads on creating a more defined timeline as to when this happened and when they were last heard from before, of course, they went silent.
Jennifer, the idea of the witness, the man who lives in the house, first of all, being allowed to stay in the house. We don't know what they did in terms of looking at his lab equipment. Supposedly he's a chemist, a scientist who works in his house. You know, they didn't make it a crime scene. What does it mean that he has now checked into rehab?
Well, I find that interesting. I mean, certainly, as you point out, now it gives us another indicator that, of course, drugs probably led to these tragic deaths. But I find the timing a little bit interesting in terms of, is this some sort of excuse possibly that will be used to say, listen, I was out of it, even if I was home, even if I was on social media using my phones, even if I did exit it, I didn't see them because I've got a problem and I was messed up that night.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to News Nation.
Cuomo, everybody. Coffin Daffer and the local reporter working one of the Kansas City news outlets. A lot to digest. Is this drug related? As I had said before to someone in the chat, just because you have read the title of Mr. Willis's previous employment does not mean you knew what he was doing inside of his house. He is a scientist, so he can basically do whatever he wants to do. He's an adult, scientist or no scientist. I also mentioned the size of his house was very interesting. Why a single man with dogs would want a house, nice size house, single, no children, not married, not taking care of any relatives or nieces or nephews. Naturally, you're entitled to buy whatever size house you want, whether you're single, married, dating, whichsoever. But I always dissect every little thing about the person's demeanor, how they live, as to tie it into the story, whether, you know, it has relevance or not. Everything is key when you don't know the people. No crime scene tape to say that a crime was exacted. What evidence was found inside of the house? I'm very curious. Evidence on the persons that were deceased. Any drugs inside of the house that could be identifiable as street drugs, number one. Was anything taken that would resemble makeshift drugs, manufacturing of drugs, either by his own hands or, as I said, street drugs, any mixtures? Did they take any type of chemicals, drug paraphernalia out of his house? Did the victims have any type of drug paraphernalia or drugs on their person? See, all that's relevant. What was taken from the scene? Why did it take the DA so long to meet with the family? The family feels satisfied with what was told to them, what was said to them by the state's attorney's office. Did they tell them that they would be prosecuting someone, or plural? Autopsies. I would think by now a preliminary autopsy has transpired pertaining to all three victims. What are the details? A lot to digest. As far as Jordan going into the rehab, well, few sources say he have close to him, high school people. So we're going to assume that that's where he is. As most of you know, I always like a receipt because anybody can tell somebody went into rehab. And then two, that's private information. So basically, how would you verify without him telling you, yes, this is where I am. Hey, here I am standing in the window waving out. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is this a ploy for, number one, attention, sympathy? Did he enter rehab because he knew what was found at his house? And any testimony from Mr. Alex Weimer Lee or any other persons that were in the house, anyone who has dealt with he and the victims in a drug capacity? Because you see, if the allegations are true that he supplied these men with drugs, we'll get to that here in a second. If he is known to be a supplier of drugs, either makeshift drugs himself or street drugs combination, then he possibly knew that somebody would tell it. So let me go ahead and go on inside of this rehab. 2, has the district attorney contacted his lawyer? Because a lot of times when there is about to be information released to the public, people exact tactical moves. And this could be a tactical move instructed by the attorney. Hey, the district attorney has contacted me. They are seeking to file charges against you. You might need to go into the rehab to show that you have a problem, because a lot of information is about to be released pertaining to you, your dealings, dalliings, also with the victims and other participants. You see, that's the thing about an investigation. You don't know who's talking. You don't know who's giving information. One other comment I read last night, someone said maybe he gave up a dealer, but then some might say he's the dealer. See, we don't know all the intricate details pertaining to what the detectives have found and what information they have taken to the state's attorney's office. We'll have to wait for a press conference to say, this is what was found in the victims, and this is what is going to happen as far as any type of investigation. It either starts or stops with the deaths of the men, or we're filing charges against this person, that person, for manufacturing, selling, whatsoever. But we have to wait to see what is actually found in the autopsy and the toxicology reports. But for now, the family, they said, are accepting what was told to them. So I am curious to what was told to the family, because allegations are coming left and right by relatives related to the victims, such as males. 2 males at least have come out mentioning drugs, foul play. And then, 1 week later, we have Mr. Jordan entering rehab. So one would wonder, okay, what's really going on here? Are they about to tell us that this is a drug-related case and that Mr. Jordan is the proprietor of giving them drugs? The problem with that is going to be, as I said, evidentiary material, recordings, and admission from Mr. Willis. Will he admit he manufactures drugs, make up drugs, concoct drugs, and or give them drugs? So then now we have to ask the other question. Were all men active users at the time of death? Because you're going to hear commentary next that he was the supplier. So then we have to ask the person delivering that information, which is a cousin, are you a user, and how did you know that he was a supplier of drugs? I didn't know how deep this was going to go, but once again, these are just allegations until, the toxicology reports come back. But maybe it's what I had said before. Just because people don't sit up and tell you on a news broadcast, yeah, I know my sister brother gets high. Yeah, they are an addict. Doesn't mean that they weren't. You just didn't hear them say it. And I was questioning that. Are these people hiding the secret that all the guys were users? So now with a cousin bringing forward allegations, that leads me to believe, if I want to believe this man, that they all were users. Because if they find the same type of agent inside of all 3 victims, which we're going to assume that it would be, then that means they all were users or experimented. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to bring you our next commentary, and this will be pertaining to allegations against Jordan Willis that he supplied the men with drugs. This has become wicked now. Very wicked. Let's see. Hold on 1 second, everybody. And now there's something else about the jury pertaining to Korberger. Oh, Lord. It's always something. I don't know why I can't find it. Hold on. 1 second, everybody. He could be in Cancun. Well, that wouldn't make any sense. A warrant is still a warrant if one is issued, so there's no need in running. But then also the flip side of that is, should all the blame be shifted on this man if, let's just say, there's evidence that he did supply the victims with drugs? It is a choice to get high. Let's make that clear now. It is a choice to use narcotics, to experiment with drugs. And you have to prove that he gave them a lethal concoction of something, deliberately mixed something with street drugs. See, you have to have proof of all of that. How are you going to prove it? Even if you found drugs in his house, you found mixtures of concoctions of something in his house, there still has to be culpability, accountability of the men who took the drug. I don't know why I can't find this for some reason. Because some would say, why is it fair for a person that supplies a person drugs, or the dope dealer, however you want to word it, why should they go down for you passing away? Just saying. Because some may have that opinion. Well, you took the drugs. Nobody told you to take it. It's your choice. That's why they tell you not to use drugs, because you don't know what's in it. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's weed. I don't care what it is. It's a Molly, it's ecstasy, whatever. You don't know anything about where it came from. You don't know how many hands it's been passed through until it gets into your hands. And I don't think people really realize that. Somebody just tells you, oh yeah, I got some X, I got a Molly, whatever you call it, and you just readily give them your money and take the drug. I mean, I don't think people really just sit and focus on the common sense behind using drugs. It's a choice. It is a choice. I mean, that's not being rude or being nasty to anybody that has partaken using drugs. It's just common sense. It is a choice to use narcotics or anything that's mixed. You don't have any idea. I don't know why I cannot find this story. This is strange to me. I just had it in the queue. Hold on one second, everybody, because there's something strange going on here. I don't know why this one device I have, it just refuses to load my content. I don't know. Here we go. News Nation is the source for this next information. Please take the polls on my community page pertaining to this case. Where does the blame lie? If evidence is found that Jordan gave these men drugs, whatever it was, should he be liable? Because as I said, everybody's interpretation of drug dealing, selling, using, everybody's opinions are different.
Prosecutors met with the families of the 3 victims today. And we're going to talk to Ricky Johnson's family about that meeting in just a moment. But first, News Nation's national correspondent Alex Capriello has been way out front on this story. He's live now in Kansas City. So do you have any confirmations on this story that that Jordan Willis has checked into rehab?
Yeah, it was one source of mine that I've met here in Kansas City who knows Jordan from early high school days. was the first person to actually tell me that yesterday. And I've been working very hard to speak to other sources, trying to get that individually confirmed. And I'll tell you this, all of the people that I've been speaking to, a lot of high school classmates and also who knew Jordan from college, this is all they're talking about. This is something that's new to them. But actually independently confirming it, I have not been able to, but it is something that was shared with me early on yesterday.
Hey, I'm just getting news coming in, breaking as we're speaking, Alex. So bear with me for 1 second. Our local Nexstar station in that area is confirming that a source close to the family indeed says that he's checked into rehab. So now it's not just multiple media sources, your source, but also the Nexstar. I think we've got enough sources now to fairly confirm that he's in rehab. You did get a chance also to speak to the cousin of one of the victims, of Clayton McGeeney's cousin. I think his name is Caleb. What did Caleb know, and what did he share with you?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Caleb is very, very distraught, as any family member might be, because this was just an unexpected death that happened to him. He says Clayton was like his brother. He was cousins with him, but they were like brothers. They were like this. And so to have something like this happen to him and his family is just devastating. He was actually showing up at the Platte County prosecutor's office, where the other parents of these three victims were told to go today for a meeting with the prosecutor, but he wasn't allowed into that room because it was specifically for parents only. Even still, he's really hurting about this because he feels like he knows what happened, something that the rest of the country is surmising what happened, which is drug use, abuse, and overdosing. And he says he knows a lot about Jordan Willis, the fact that he goes back all the way to high school. He knows the drug habits that happened within this circle of friends, and that he often says that Jordan was a supplier for that. Of course, this is an allegation from Caleb. This is not something that's been independently confirmed from law enforcement, but he says he has a theory about what happened, and he thinks that Jordan is responsible. Take a listen. A lot of times I'm hearing that David Clayton, and Ricky were like brothers. Jordan was kind of off on the side. True.
Jordan's a chemist, bro.
Jordan's what?
Jordan's a chemist. They all knew him as that.
We all knew him as that.
To go have fun, but he made a mistake. Jordan was the chemist. He's a scientist, right? He does what he needs to do. Now, to use my cousin, my best friend, as a guinea pig? Yeah.
What about Alex Lee? What do you know about him?
I know.
Yeah.
Let's stop right here. He's basically talking. He's not coming out just saying verbatim, hey, I think he poisoned them. He gave them bad drugs, a bad concoction. He's basically talking in circles. He's the chemist. He's the scientist. He effed up. He used them, my friend and my cousin, as guinea pigs. But guess what? You have to ask yourself, have they taken things from him before? And then on this fateful morning, things went awry. So you don't know. Because as I said, you'll have to prove malice if he supplied any type of drug, concoction, mixture of a street drug or any other type of agents. You have to prove he gave it to them, number one. Number two, you have to prove malice, intentional, accidental, and also negligence to know, prove that he knew they were in cardiac arrest, passed out, convulsion, so on and so forth, and you did not render aid. So everything's going to lie on evidence, what he will say after the findings, whatever they seize from the house on the person's toxicology reports and the autopsies. Because who's going to say, yeah, I gave my friend a lethal dose. My friend's lethal doses of this, this, and this. He can easily deny it because he knows he's a scientist. He's not stupid. They have to prove I gave it to them, number one. But detectives are going to say to him, well, why would you go into rehab? You've been free for weeks while we have been investigating this case. So why would you go into rehab? Is it because, as I said, the district attorney does have something on Mr. Willis, and they have conferred with his attorney, Mr. Paserno. And also, once again, it is a choice to get high on drugs. So where is the burden? Where should the burden lie? On the victims? On the dealer? Both? And the fact that Alex is allegedly had texted people what was going on in there, that's interesting as well. So is he just a non-user? He was just a spectator? He's telling somebody, man, you won't believe what they're doing, man. So then we have to ask, what has he told the district attorney? What has he told the detectives pertaining to what he saw that night? And I told you all that I had a feeling that Alex knew more than what has been said. Stay woke.
Any idea that he might have brought drugs? No?
Jordan had him. Jordan was one.
So you don't think any more attention should be paid on Alex Lee?
Alex Lee is a good man. He's a good man. Alex Lee is a solid. He was one of their best friends forever. Jordan is somebody that is known from high school as like creating drugs for people to make them feel better in certain situations. Okay, love, you want to do this? Okay.
This is some very deep information if these allegations are true against Mr. Willis. He's the go-to guy. He's the guy to give you something to make you feel better. So then we have to ask, well, why are these guys needing something to feel better? Is there one that just went along for the ride? Wasn't really a user, wasn't an active user? What is the truth about this information? Some might say that Mr. Willis is now a scapegoat because he's a scientist. So you can weigh it 1,000 ways. I'm just chopping up every possible scenario and theory. I'm not here to say either way, because like I said, the toxicology reports are what I'm basically waiting on. I want to know what was in the men. And like I said, even if you find out, I still see it being a problem because it looks like now everyone's blaming Mr. Willis because he's the scientist. So let's ask this question. Would he be the blame if he wasn't the scientist? Think about that for just a second. What if he wasn't a scientist and he wasn't allegedly, or he was giving drugs, but he wasn't a scientist? Would it matter? Because like I said, everything depends on state laws and culpability of the person that's supplying the drugs. A lot of states now are becoming strict on anyone who supplies a person drugs and the person dies. So that will be one of the polls I will put up. If a person gives someone a narcotic, a pill, any type of concoction, and a person overdoses, passes away, should that person be liable for their death, even if they had no idea that the drug narcotic agent was lethal?
I'm gonna make this for you. I'm gonna make this for you. I'm gonna make this for you. And handing them out. At this point, the country knows what's gonna happen, right? What the toxicology reports are what they're gonna reveal. We all know that. Okay. Who is the one that gave it to them? And who is the one that needs to be held responsible? Where did it come from? The police are doing their job. If it takes time, it takes time. I will never tell them they're not doing what they should be doing. They're doing the best they can. It takes time. Because you want it to be correct at the end of the day.
Very true.
And that's what I hope is when at the end of the day it comes
That's
out,
very true.
it comes out correct.
And when you think about it, there's a difference between Jordan and the three men. Those guys had relationships, they had children, but I keep hearing that Jordan was a single guy who had a house, who had access to drugs, and so it would make sense that those men might go there and use drugs recreationally. Of course, we don't know that for sure until a toxicology report comes out, but all of my sources are saying about the same thing, that this is very normal activity when surrounded by Jordan.
Wow.
One other thing I want to ask you about, our next door station, the local station there, they found out that at least one person in that house was up until 2 a.m. So Sunday into Monday morning, up late into 2 a.m. Monday morning, at least once, which is fascinating given all of these, the timeline of events. But Alex Weimer Lee, I think he calls himself Alex Lee, says he left at midnight, everything was fine. You were able to talk with Alex Lee. Did he shed any more light on that or anything else? The fact that apparently someone or all of them were up until 2 a.m. or anything else?
I've not been able to talk to Alex Lee. I've been trying to talk to Alex Lee. That's been my number one mission while here, because I know that he was one of the very last people, if not the last person, to see these 4 men, Jordan and those 3 that are now deceased. And so obviously his testimony, his story is going to be critical to this. But I did try to stop by his house that we found through background checks, knocking on his door. You can tell it's most likely his house. Kansas City Chiefs flags hanging everywhere. And the addresses matches up to our typical backgrounding system. But I cannot find the guy. Really hard to find him. We do know that he also has a lawyer. I'm told from my sources that It seems like he is willing to talk soon, because he knows that there is a lot of bad mouthing that's happening about him. Because as you heard me mention to Caleb, is there any possibility that Alex Lee brought the drugs? They know that could be a possibility, a theory out there. And so I wanted to get to the bottom of it. I'm trying to find Alex Lee. But from Caleb's perspective, he does not believe that Alex Lee is responsible for this. He believes that Jordan is the one that's actually making these drugs and providing them to his friends.
Thank you for watching.
A lot said there. So one of the cousins has come forward to say that basically Jordan Willis is the head knocker. Did he enter rehab because he knew this information was going to get out and be released? Why are we just now hearing that Jordan is the supplier? Or are they using him as the scapegoat because he's a scientist? Weighing all possibilities and theories during this live stream. Thank you for joining me. Somebody was up at 2 a.m. Who was that? Jordan? McGinney? Johnson? Harrington? Alex? Anybody else? Doorbell cameras? Does somebody have a camera to show traffic going in and out of this house, even when the guys were not there? Bingo card. Stay woke. Does Mr. Harrington have surveillance on his own home and inside of his home? Nobody ever talks about that. Have they checked phones of all parties, deceased and living, to show that somebody was up inside of that house, pinging off of Wi-Fi? Who was it? Now you can debate who passed out. He was zonked out for 2 days. He zonked out after being on the phone, social media. Who was up after 2 a.m.? Were the guys alive after 2 a.m.? Is this a case of bad drugs, bad concoctions by Mr. Jordan or anybody else in that house, and the guys died, and he knew what would happen once detectives come to the house and find 3 dead men, and you're the only one standing, or anybody else that was there? Got to get them out of this house. They can't be in here. What is the truth? Was this the party house? That has been asked in many chat rooms, chat comments. Was this the party house, flop house? You heard Mr. Paserno say there are times they were there when he wasn't there. True or not true? Once again, why are you all putting a stamp that Jordan is the drug supplier, drug dealer, drug manufacturer? What type of drugs was he administering to these guys, allegedly? Was it a tactical move for him to go into rehab because he knew this information was coming out? Will charges be filed against Jordan Willis for malice murder, manslaughter ×3, second-degree murder, negligence, if it can be proven that he is the supplier of drugs? You hear this guy saying basically everybody knew. So that lets us know that what I had asked before. Are we not hearing the truth from family members that they knew that their loved ones in buying drugs? Don't you find it strange 3.5 weeks in, you're just now getting this information to News Nation? Oh, he's the guy. He gave it to him because one of the mothers had already said that days ago. He would have been the one. So that makes me believe somebody was in her ear, Miss Marquez. Stay woke. Did they all have a roundtable discussion about Mr. Willis? Hey, I think we need to go ahead and tell you this is what's been going on over there at the house or when they all get together. So I'm going to ask this question. Did the family members, parents, know that their male children imbibed drugs before they were found at Mr. Willis's house and chose not to tell news entities that their boy children, grown sons, were drug users and or experimented with drugs? Very interesting. He feels like the police is doing their job. He's not going to say they're not doing their job. It takes time, and he wants everything to be done correctly. Exactly. That's what you want. It's the truth. And it's not to say that we're going to get the whole truth. No matter what is said in the toxicology and the autopsies, you may not get the truth. You may just get what's found inside of them. You know, illegal, illicit drugs. But the burden comes proving how they got in their systems. Okay, they took them. They were laced with something else. They're avid users, recreational users, experimental users. Where did they come from? See, that's going to be the burden, proving. And then the flip side of that is what I've always said. Everything's going to bank on the laws in that state as far as negligence of giving someone a lethal drug, whether you knew it was or not, and the men being grown-ups choosing to imbibe in narcotic use. Code, I have no idea. Questions were mentioned during my live stream yesterday, and I want to address some of you all's comments. Why hasn't anyone come forward to speak positively, or positive rather, excuse me, about Mr. Jordan Willis? Someone said he had an ex-wife, girlfriend, he was a psycho. Don't know if that's true. We're still on the question about the dogs. Were they there or not? Did Alex tell the family members of the deceased that he saw the dogs at this man's house before he left? You also hear this man speaking highly of Alex. He's a good guy. So is Alex a user or not a user? What time did Alex actually leave the house? Did Alex see the guys overdose and ran out for fear of what would become an investigation and a hot story, such as what we're talking about right now? Got to get out of here. I ain't got time for this. Maybe that's why he left at 11 or 12. Can't even get the time right on that. 2 different times. Allegations that he was texting somebody. Where is that coming from? Who knows he was texting somebody? Did Alex tell somebody, a news agent, he was texting somebody that they were using drugs? Because all this is strange coming out. Alex is texting somebody. Now we got a cousin saying that Jordan was the supplier. Then we had Miss Marquez saying days ago she knew he was the one with the drugs. So what is really going on here? Who's doing all the chitter chatter and talking, telling parents and this and that? Jordan was the head knocker. He's the head knocker. He's the one with the drugs. Remember Miss Marquez said that to News Nation? Oh, he's the one that could buy it and afford it. These guys couldn't afford it. But as I've told you, and most of you who know anything about narcotics, drugs, you don't need to be a millionaire to become a user and imbibing drugs. Just like alcohol, same thing. You don't need a lot of money to buy a drink. They sell 99-cent miniature bottles at the liquor store. Come on now. You want to hit a heroin, crack? Trust me, somebody will take a small portion and give it to you for $10. Get you a couple of crumbs for $5, $6 of crack cocaine. We need not go there. We need not go there. So somebody, I believe, was in this woman's ear about the drugs, that he would be the one that would be the head knocker supplier. I don't know what else to ask. What will Mr. Willis say now? Where is Mr. Willis? Is he actually in rehab? Mr. Persona has been very quiet the past couple of days. Is it because he knew what was about to be said and what was going to come out? Is the district attorney going to file charges against Mr. Willis or any other party? What is going to be released in the press conference alongside the toxicology reports and the autopsies? Thank you for joining me. I'm going to put the link in the chat for anybody that would like to give their opinion pertaining to the latest developments. God knows it's a lot to it's a lot to digest. Excuse the barking in the background. I live around neighbors with a lot of dogs. Plus the one next door, Lord Jesus. Sometimes I think those dogs are sick the way they bark. One sounds like he's dying. Don't sound normal. Guess he just has a heavy bark. Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream. I'm almost scared to see what else is going to be said. I guess everything now is going to weigh on Mr. Willis giving comments through his attorney. Don't know if he's going to say anything. Many people are still going to think he's lying anyway because he gave too many different versions about what happened in that house and not having knowledge of anything. People are really going to think he knows now, even without the toxicology reports, because these people coming forward talking about him administering drugs and having drugs, it doesn't look good for him. Because as someone said, no one's saying anything positive about Mr. Willis. And now you have a cousin saying he's the one that supplied. We all knew. We all know. So they knew all along that the guys got high. How about that? Why are you all just not telling everybody? I mean, I am curious to that. Why wait 3.5 weeks to tell the world that the guys got high? Yes, Kung Fu. I think most people were thinking that anyway. But yes, him entering rehab would allude to the fact that this is a drug-related death. Secrets amongst friends. Well, what kind of secret, sweetheart? Because it looked like it wasn't no secret, if we're going to believe this guy. We all know he's the head knocker. Basically, that's what he's saying. He's the scientist. He's saying it in a roundabout way. He's the manufacturer. He's the go-to guy. So that'll lead you to believe he was giving him stuff maybe before. Concocting stuff. That's very dangerous. Anytime you mix anything, you're treading on a slippery slope. Because you don't know what's going to happen once you put it in your mouth, once you swallow it. Oh, the God night thing? I don't think so, lady. The fact the cousin is saying, you know, if you want to believe him or not, they all know. He said, we all know. So who are we? Family, friends, associates? And then that opens Pandora's box as well. Well, when you say we, people are going to want a clarification. We who? Whom are you speaking of? Family members, parents, other friends. So then you have to ask, are they all just users? Or the horrible word would be, were they junkies? Were they functioning junkies? I don't mean to be disrespectful, because I have been very respectful up until this new information. But you have to you have to tell yourself, these are grown men. These are not 15-year-olds being passed drugs. Hey, here, try this. You are an adult. So you have to bear some responsibility on self to take drugs, period. It doesn't matter if it came from Jordan or not. You cannot just take a drug and think nothing bad won't happen to you. What if the guys didn't take it, but Jordan put it in their drink? That's why Jordan is still alive. Well, Cole, I'm questioning that as well. Why is he the only one? Because I asked that question before. Will we find out he's a user or a non-user? Because that's relevant as well. You keep hearing he's the odd man out. That's why I was making commentary in the last live, not to be disrespectful about his sexuality and all that, but it's just something I saw in him that was feminine to me. I could be wrong. It's no big deal. But what I've been leaning towards is that maybe, it's deeper than just guys getting high, because you don't know people. That's the one thing I keep trying to tell people. You can bank on certain things, but there's other things you can't bank on, because you are not in the human mind to say you know how somebody felt about somebody. You can think you know how somebody felt about somebody, but you don't really know how people feel about one another. You hear the worst, horrible stories of betrayal because you don't know people. That's why I said they're going to have to prove they were active users. Number one, that's going to be testing the hair. Then you've got to see if that drug that's in them is also in the hair follicles to show, oh, they used this drug for a while, sometime, couple of months. What's in the urine? What was in the stomach? What was in the food they ate? Alcohol. Toxicology says we can't administer a test to show how intoxicated a person is. Very interesting information. Were they drinking? Now we have somebody saying they came in with 30 packs of beer. Who told that? I got a feeling some of this is also coming from Alex. Because if he was there, he would know if somebody pulled out a crack pipe, meth pipe, how many cans of beer were on the table, on the floor, he would know. Or somebody else was in that house and they are talking behind the scenes as well to say this was their pills, meth, concocted drugs by Jordan, Pookie, Ray Ray, whomever. If you'd like to join this live stream by panel, the link is in the chat. Feel free to come up and give your opinion pertaining to the latest information of the parents meeting with the district attorney's office. They are pleased with the information that has been given to them. What is that information? Will there be charges filed against a person or parties? Allegations that Jordan supplied drugs to the men? That is the conversation at hand. Thank you for joining me. There had to at least be beer. Oh, okay. Well, somebody said there was beer, so I'm sure there was. They probably been drinking all day. Let's ask this question here. The employment that the men have, do they drug test where they work? Nobody's asked that. Did Jordan work on the computer Monday and Tuesday? Did he sign into his computer to work for that company he works for? That's going to show if he was really inebriated, he took the drugs, he passed out, he came to. I tell everybody you have to pay attention to the details. What if you find out he clocked in for 7 or 8 hours on the computer, Monday and Tuesday? So he wouldn't have been under the influence. He wouldn't have been coming down from a bad high. I also asked you if he was an alcoholic, if the other guys were alcoholics, because that will also play a role into whatever is found in the toxicology reports. It's a lot to ask. I don't know. It's just a bad situation. I don't wish death on anybody per se, but I'm just going to be truthful. I don't care for people who use drugs. I'm just going to say that. I don't know these men. I don't have anything against them per se, or their family members, or anybody out there that's walking. But I'm just giving my opinion. As I said, I've tried to remain objective during this whole scenario, but I don't care for people who use drugs. I do not. Because people who use drugs, they bring problems. And I think most of you who've ever dealt with people who use narcotics, stayed under the influence of drugs, alcohol, they are usually problem people. They're always into something. They've always got drama. And maybe that was the hint that was put out about one of the guys when the relatives said he was getting himself together. He had been behind on child support, this and that. Maybe he was behind on child support because he never kept a job. Ding, ding, ding. Did that ever occur to anybody in the chat? See, sometimes you have to listen to the information without judging what they're saying, but dissecting what they're saying. Because a lot of times people are giving you clues in the information. Naturally, you can dissect it how you see fit. So I had said before, well, I'm not going to judge whomever it was that was behind on the child support that they were a misfit. Maybe they just couldn't make enough to pay child support. I don't know. But now that we are hearing this information about, oh, everybody knew that drugs were involved, they used drugs. Okay, well, maybe that's why one of the guys couldn't get himself together, because he's been a user for a long time. He couldn't keep a job, or he kept a job. He was a functioning addict, but he chose to take his money to get high. And that's a problem right there too, because your children don't ask to be here. A child doesn't choose his or her parents. And definitely a child would not want an addict for a parent. That's the worst parent you can have. Doesn't matter that you say, oh, I love you, I love you. You have to show. You have to lead by example. Now find out we got small children in this debacle, and they're going to eventually hear what their parents have been doing. This ain't good. That's why I said this probably won't just end with finding out about the toxicology reports. Somebody's going to want somebody's head on a platter. I said that the other night, and I'm going to stand on that. This ain't about to end well. Even if they had been partying, wouldn't they be sober enough to drive home that night? Well, you can't sober up, Panda, if you're dead. Hit the link, Panda. Somebody hit the link. Dead man can't drive. That's what makes it more sad. The kids. Yeah. See, nobody's thinking about the kids. Everybody's talking about what's in the toxicology. Oh, they were getting high. Oh, they was getting high. Okay, so if they were getting high, you got to prove somebody intentionally gave somebody a lethal concoction or something. But as I said, everything banks on the state law. What is the state law out there? Whether you have knowledge of the drug itself being lethal, you bear the responsibility for this person being deceased. Tennessee has that law now. Doesn't matter if you knew or not. You administered, you selling it, you take the charge. because we have too many overdoses now. Overdoses. So, at some point, the state's attorneys get tired of, seeing all these people lying around deceased. Even though it is a choice to get high, once again, it is a choice. Nobody's putting a gun to anybody's head to use drugs. That has to be said, because you have to prove malice when it comes to handing somebody a drug. That's why I said it makes no sense to use drugs, because you don't know what you're taking. Somebody just tells you, oh, it's a Molly, and you just say, oh, thank you. You don't even know what's in it. You don't know if they've laced it with rat poison. You have no idea, and you're just gonna swallow it. I'm gonna take you all back on a little trip many years ago. I had a young neighbor that gave me the nickname Mother. Even to this day, those young girls that see me, they're all still friends. Most of them, they see me now, they call me Mother. Well, one day I was out at some little club, little juke joint, little small dive bar, and she was in there, and she had needed a ride to meet her little male friend. So she said, can you give me a ride to his house? And I said, sure. So she was in the car, and I could tell she wasn't feeling well. And I was like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, I took an X. And I said, oh, my God. And she says, oh, my God, I'm feeling really, really sick. So, honey, before I could even pull over, because I think we were at the stoplight in 5 Points, she threw up. And I'd heard that about ecstasy. You feel better after you throw up. So naturally, she got out of the car. She apologized. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Naturally, Queen had to clean that up the best she could that night, and then get up the next day and, give it a better spot cleaning. And Queen don't do throw up, okay? Queen don't do vomit. Queen don't do bowel movement. Have I cleaned people's tails for the job I was doing as a healthcare provider? Of course, but it don't mean I liked it. The point I'm trying to make is, why take a drug that's going to make you throw up and then you're high? I mean, I guess you get the high after you throw up. I don't know. I don't even like regurgitating. If I get that bloated feeling inside, I'm telling you, where it feels like it's right up in my throat, I can't stand that, because I know food wants to come back up, or whatever I'm drinking, pop, Coke, alcohol, whatever. So I think back to that moment when she, that time she threw up in my car. She had took an X, and I was thinking to myself, these damn young people, man, they'll just take anything. Take anything just because everybody else is doing it. And I remember hearing an incident before that, years before that, about the X pills. Oh, yeah, to make you real sick, but you feel better after you throw up. And I was telling that person then, well, why are you taking it? What kind of high do you want to have that you got to vomit? Hell, forget that, man. I don't want nothing that's going to make me throw up. Bad food, drugs, cross-contamination, flu bug, stomach virus. Are you serious? I think most people tell you about a stomach virus. It's the worst feeling. Your stomach's cramping. You're either throwing up or you're running to the bathroom. You're doing it one way or the other. So this is why I'm saying, when I think back to what the X pill would do to you, I can't imagine any other type of drug that would make you physically ill at some point, such as heroin. We have heard the stories about heroin use for many years, that the high coming down is excruciating. This is why the people have to keep running to the dope dealer to stay high, because the low is painful. The sweats, I think you throw up, your stomach is hurting, or whatever the ill symptoms are. Why would you want that? Please explain it to me. It says oxy's that way. Throw up and the high intensifies. Okay, so think about that, Pinto. So if the X is like the oxy, okay? Just think about this for just a second. Think about what the pill is doing to your insides, to where it pushes food back up through the esophagus. Just think about that for a second. You've swallowed the pill, Don't know if you eating, not eating. God forbid you've eaten and you took the pill and you have to throw up. Now you're throwing up all that food. I can't see it. Okay? Don't you think that's doing something to your intestines? Every time you pop a pill, you throw up. Do you know you can ruin the lining of your esophagus from throwing up often? This is why a lot of people, women who become anorexic, they end up having damaged organs such as their esophagus lining. It's from vomiting profusely. So you popping pills, the same thing is going to happen. You're going to eventually erode the esophagus lining. You're also going to have stomach problems because you're not keeping anything on the stomach. You're going to become dehydrated. So that's why I'm saying, what is the benefit? I've got to empty my contents from my belly, throw up violently to get a high. I want you to think about that, how stupid that sounds. I would want to take another drug that wouldn't have me throwing up if I just want to get high. But I ain't trying to throw up and get high at the same time. That doesn't make any sense to me. But I realize a lot of people are just weak-minded. They just don't care. They don't think. Ecstasy is a derivative of heroin. Unless you're an addict, you will throw up. Okay, unless you're an addict. So what are you saying? If you're an addict, you don't throw up? That's why I want you all to hit the link. It keeps the continuity of the live stream. The flow is better when people can speak and talk, where people can understand what you're saying instead of you having to type the information in. Wow. Well, I never knew her to be an addict. The one that took that X pill. I don't know if she still does it now. She's older, but I would hope not. But I know a lot of young people back then in the early 2000s, that was a popular thing. Back in 99 on into, the 2000, people were experimenting with those X pills and Mollies and different things. And now all you hear is about meth and fentanyl. And I don't hear anybody talk about crack cocaine. I haven't heard one person ever mention crack cocaine. It's been years since I've even heard it mentioned. And that's my right hand to God. And I never even thought that I would even hear of black people using meth. But hey, it is what it is. Turn your devices on, Pinto. You got to connect your devices on and turn your microphone on. Very sad. I think here in Knoxville, wasn't last year, might have been the year before, they found some people dead in this apartment complex on the east side. And I know it was probably 3 or 4 people dead in the apartment. First thing I thought was, well, they took something, because if they didn't say that they were shot or stabbed, it's usually drugs. I just, in my mind, I can't understand it. Why in the world do you want to take something that's going to take you out? I don't know. And what's even more disturbing is that these men obviously were users. Everybody's speaking highly of them. Oh, he's a good guy. He's dependable. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, he's friendly. He'll do anything for you. Mr. Dave Harrington's mom, Miss Marquez, she was speaking highly of him. You're hearing the McGinney family talking highly of that young guy. Then you've got Ricky Johnson, parents and friends talking about him and the children. And then now look at what is being revealed, that they're users. You know, people are kind of just like glazing over that. Because, you know, it's easier to blame somebody. Oh, he gave him that. Oh, she gave him that. Well, where's the responsibility for the people who are getting high? They have to bear the burden as well. You can't just put it all on the person who sold them the drugs, because a lot of that happens in our society. We're always blaming the dope dealer. We're always blaming the dealer. But the thing that people don't understand about addiction, they're going to find anything to get high on. The dealer could disappear. Poof, gone, die, get arrested, go to prison, however you want to word it. There's another one to take his or her place, number one. The addiction doesn't stop because the dope dealer's gone. You could arrest 50, 60 dealers a day. What does that have to do with the person with the addiction? They're going to still want to get high. And they will find any method to get high. And that's what people need to understand. Pinto, hit the link. You didn't have your mic on, sweetheart. Just turn your microphone on. When you come into the stream, it'll tell you to turn your microphone on. The Android, it doesn't matter what kind of phone you have, sweetheart. That has nothing to do with it. My phone's an Android. I go live from the Android. You just hit the link in the chat, and it'll pull you up, and it'll say you either want to show yourself on the camera, just hit the part that says turn the camera off, and then you hit what it says turn the mic on. You were up here just now. You just didn't turn the mic. I guess you didn't turn on your microphone. You get sick when you don't have the drugs. Endless cycle. I'm a recovering addict. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for telling me. Well, as I said, I just... Well, maybe you should try to hit the link so you can get... Maybe you would like to share your story. Because some people can't understand drug usage. We think of the worst things pertaining to people who use drugs, people who sell drugs, you know. But like I said, some responsibility still has to, bear on the people who use the drugs, because, you know, a person still would want to get high even if there was no drug dealer. If like I said, if you were to arrest every drug dealer every day, they were incarcerated. That doesn't stop a person from desiring drugs if they already have an addiction. That's the problem, is having the addiction. And then a person also would have to want help with the addiction. So this is just it's a bad situation all the way around, no matter how you look at it. And Mr. Willis is now in the hot seat. So how do you all feel about what has been said about him by this this relative? It's dire, very dire. Lord have mercy. I can only imagine what's next to come out.
With Medicare.
Sorry about that. I was trying to see if something else had come up. Anything else? Let's see what News Nation has to say about one of the guys.
When did they die and why did they die? Autopsy and toxicology results are still pending in the deaths of 3 Kansas City Chiefs fans who were found frozen to death in a backyard 3 weeks ago. The backyard was behind the house of a man named Jordan Willis. And just moments ago, we learned that Jordan Willis has reportedly checked himself into rehab for substance use disorder. The friends had all spent the night at a football watch party, and 2 days later, they were found dead in the backyard of Jordan Willis's home. Willis says he had no idea his friends' bodies were out there. He said he was sleeping on the couch with noise-canceling headphones on the entire time. Police say they have no evidence of foul play, but the families of the victims aren't buying it. Today, the families met with the district attorney assisting the Kansas City Police Department with the case in the hopes of getting the deaths investigated properly. Joining us now is Alan McGeaney, the cousin of one of those victims, Clayton McGeaney. Alan, thanks so much for joining us. I'm so sorry to be meeting you under these circumstances. This has been so frustrating for all of you as you wait for some sort of information, and every single family member we talk to says they're not getting any.
Yeah, it's been a slow process. We really haven't got a lot of information. It seems like anytime we've gotten anything, it's been more from the media that has helped us out than from the police themselves.
What you were working, so you couldn't go to the meeting today, but Clayton's fiance, who was the person who found all three bodies, was at that meeting. Tell me what they were all going in hoping to hear.
Yeah, I think we're just trying to get a little bit of movement on it. As far as the current, as far as my understanding, the current police force that's on it hasn't really been doing much of an investigation. So I believe that they're trying to work with a new, and again, I'm not entirely sure of all this. It's all pretty fresh, but they're working on getting a new prosecuting attorney on the case, and maybe get a different group of officers out there to do the investigation.
Your cousin Clayton was only 36 years old. He was strong and healthy. What do you think happened?
At this point, it would be total speculation. So I wouldn't. I have my guesses. I think it'd be foolish to assume that there wasn't drugs involved, especially now that the Jordan has checked himself into rehab. So I mean, drugs being involved, yeah, that's. I would imagine it's drug related.
Yeah, I mean, no judgment, but did Clayton and his friends use drugs recreationally? Do you know what kind of drugs they would use at times?
Yeah, I couldn't speak on that personally. That we worked together pretty regularly, and then the weekend stuff that the guys did, and I didn't really spend too much.
Thank you, Miss Vargas. The first reporter that I can speak on asked the question that should have been asked a long time ago. It's only with him checking himself into rehab that now someone can comfortably ask these family members, did the guys use drugs? This cousin here of Mr. McGeaney says, I don't know. We just work together regularly, but he got with these guys on the weekends. So obviously he can't speak on what those guys did together. But once again, it's still a choice to do whatever you want to do with or without your buddies, homegirls, however you want to word it. So let's ask this question. Jordan Willis, because I'm sure you all aren't ready for this. This is why I tell people they don't pay attention to the information. Jordan Willis just moved back a couple years ago. He really wasn't the main line of the friendship. These guys were thick as thieves with Alex before this one moved back, Mr. Willis. Is somebody following the queen? So were they using drugs before he came back? Bingo card. Or are we going to now say he's the reason they're on drugs? Because I got a feeling they were already using before Mr. Willis returned back from California or wherever he was working and living. See, that's why I said you have to have a receipt to put the bulk of the blame on one person and say, well, they're the manufacturer, they're the dealer, they're this. This guy just has only been back a short while and dealing with these people, these so-called friends. Who's to say that these guys didn't already have a drug problem, addiction, or experimentation, however you want to word it, before the mad scientists came back on Kansas City soil? Checkmate. So that's why I said, where does the blame really lie? Did he give them a lethal concoction or something? Spike one of the guys, all three? If he gave them something that night, is it something he's given them before, but added a little oomph into the pot? I don't know. I have no idea. Because in the end, detectives have to say, we know or got information, he gave them the drugs. That's number one. He laced the drug. He concocted the drug. Somebody has to speak, and 3 can't speak because they're no longer alive. So who's going to tell the story? And that's the thing people need to understand about investigation. You have to have proof that he gave them the drugs, whether it was laced or not. Bad concoction, bad mix, bad fentanyl, however you want to word it. You've got to prove he gave it to them. Then it's up to the district attorney how they want to file charges, because everything banks on the laws in their state as far as negligence and aiding, in narcotics usage, selling, however you want to word it.
Much time with that, I have family and 2 kids and running a business. So
Exactly.
I couldn't really speak on that too much, but they showed up to work every single day.
Oh, Pinto, I know, honey.
As far as whatever he did on his own time, I didn't really care as long as he showed up to work on Monday, and he's the hardest working man that I got the pleasure to work around, and damn, he's a good man.
You worked with Clayton every day, along with one of the other victims, Ricky Johnson. So I imagine.
Let's go back to that. You don't care so long as he shows up. Well, that's not really a good attitude to have. Oh, I don't care what you do in the weekends or your spare time, just so long as you show up. Well, people have shown up to work high as hell, so you should care. That's not something I would put out to the media. I don't care what you do on the weekend, as long as you show up. Well, years ago, a black man was using a forklift in Pennsylvania, and he damn near tore a whole damn building down because he was high on weed. And another agent while using the damn forklift. He could have killed somebody. He was working outside on a building. So you should care if your employees are getting high, the people you're working with are getting high, because they can cause something to go bang, bang, bang.
I didn't really spend too much time with that. I have family and 2 kids and running a business. So I couldn't really speak on that too much, but they showed up to work every single day. He's a hard worker. So as far as whatever he did on his own time, I didn't really care as long as he showed up to work on Monday. And
wow.
The hardest working man that
That's
I
deep.
got the pleasure to work around. And,
yeah.
He's a good man.
You worked with Clayton every day, along with one of the other victims, Ricky
I don't care.
Johnson. So I imagine that Monday morning
That's
when
crazy.
he didn't show up, you must have known something was wrong. 2 of them not showing up.
Yeah. Ricky doesn't work with me regularly, but he has a huge construction background. His family has a construction background, and when we had plans to plug Ricky in that day, and I talked to Clayton and Ricky earlier on that Sunday afternoon at about 7:30, and we had plans to work together on that Monday, and yeah, no call, no show, which is.
See, this cousin, he don't have any common sense. I'm going to say this. Nobody has to agree. You're not making any damn sense. It does matter. You all are laying flooring. So imagine 2 people come in doped up, coming off a high, been getting high all damn night, and they're laying flooring down. Doesn't really matter what you're doing. You're hanging cabinets. I mean, it's all the damn same. Somebody's paying for that. So imagine a person comes in and they look at the damn job and say, well, why is this cut like this? And why these 2 don't meet good? And hey, why is there a hump in the flooring? And hey, this isn't flat enough. The surface isn't right. What are you going to say? See, you have to be very careful how you word things, because this is why a lot of people get fired from their jobs, because 1, they're incompetent. 2, they're lazy. And 3, they could be under the influence of drugs, alcohol. So you can't do the job to the best of your ability if you are inebriated. That's common sense. So you should want all your employees to do a good job. And they even put this comment out here, I don't care just as long as he shows up. That's a very ignorant comment. I knew there was more to this damn story. Something was telling me these people are lying about these damn men getting high. And what did I tell you? Why not just say it in the beginning? Get it over with. That way people don't have to speculate and make all these damn videos and TikTok videos. Where are they getting high? Where are they getting high? I'd rather just tell it. Hey, yeah, this one's known to get high. He's a recreational user. To my knowledge, he's not an addict or, he's a functioning user. I would just say it and be done with it. Most people were speculating it was drugs anyway. And of course, it's not good to speculate because as some of us thought, well, maybe it's just a mad scientist. The guy got mad at the guys or, you don't really know what people got going on. That's why I said, I just want to get the results first before making accusations of the guys getting high. I was not about to put out any rumors that the guys were users. I want to have proof before I just say, oh, yeah, they get high, they're this, they're that. I'm not going to say that because we made that mistake before with that mess down in Georgia with that lady in the woods. And so I said I would not do that if I think there's drugs involved. I'd rather wait on the reports. Yeah. Pinto, that's why I want you to hit the link, sweetheart. That's my point. That's the point I've been trying to make with all the people coming forward. Everybody's talking. How do I know you're not using too? Exactly. Thank you for saying that. This guy here. How do we know you're not using? You're not a user. That's why I think nobody wanted to say anything in the beginning because they didn't want these guys to be portrayed as drug users. So it's like, don't nobody say nothing. Let's just wait on the toxicology reports. And so it's easy to put all the blame on Mr. Willis because one, he's a scientist. Two, they probably already had knowledge that, yeah, he supplied the guys with drugs. So we'll just go ahead and just dump everything on him. He's the mad scientist. He's a user too. Now that he's put himself in rehab allegedly, oh, hell yeah. Now the cat's out the bag. Oh, yep, they're using. Yeah. He supplied the drug. It's all on him. And I have to ask myself, is that fair to put it all on Mr. Willis? Yeah, I believe he had knowledge. Now, I'm not getting ready to take up for him. I do believe he knew they were dead. I'm going to say that. I believe he knew they were dead. You don't have to be proud of a drug user, but you have to accept the fact. Right, and that's what I'm saying. I think these people should have all came out, spoke their truth about their relative. If they had knowledge that the guy used drugs, I'd rather have told it in the beginning. Just tell it, let the chips fall where they may. People entitled to think how they want. People are going to talk about the story because you're talking about 3 dead people lying outside. 1 person alive, which is the homeowner. Hell yeah, the people are going to talk.
Which is, that doesn't happen from Clayton.
Bottom line, Alan, are you frustrated that the Kansas City Police Department had ruled immediately that there was no foul play involved? Do you still think there's a possibility there was?
I mean, you'd have to define foul play at first, a couple guys hanging out, and then one of them, I don't know if that would be considered as foul play, but negligence, absolutely.
All right. Alan McGeady, I hope you get answers soon. I know this has been an incredibly painful time for so many of the family members, but the not knowing has got to make it 1,000 times worse. Really hope you get those soon. Thanks for talking to us today. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you, Miss Elizabeth Vargas. News Nation is the source. Negligence. That might be all you can prove. We'll see. We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait on CCTV footage, evidence gathered at the house on the persons, toxicology reports, autopsies, anybody's testimony of being at the house and being an eyewitness to a crime or drug usage, overdose. Lord, imagine somebody saw everything. That's going to look bad. I was there. I saw it. I left. I got scared. I didn't want to be in the house. I didn't want to catch a charge. Oh, Lord. I think of the cases, plural, pertaining to the women of Chillicothe, Ohio. Some of you may not know about these discovery of women being discarded in ravines or rivers up there many moons ago. And one of the hypotheses was that the girls were street workers and also drug users, and that they were dealing with a certain African-American drug dealer, and that perhaps these were overdoses and the girls were dumped out as so nobody could be at fault for giving the young ladies drugs. So I don't really know. I'd have to do more research into that case because it's been a while since I've delved into that information. But I've watched a documentary about the women of Chillicothe. And I have to admit, be it a serial killer, overdose, it is the strangest case because all the women knew each other. Now you put that on paper. All the women knew of each other. They crossed paths, hung around each other. So what are the odds of all these women, active users and street workers, found dumped? You're entitled to your opinion. Lord have mercy. Just bringing you the latest information pertaining to this debacle out of Kansas City. I don't know where this is going. Drugs, I guess. Very strange. Everybody's got a video up. I don't know. I don't know really what to say at this point. Just going in the queue looking for anything pertaining to this story. Well, right now, the latest news that's going on, the trucker convoy converging on Texas with Lieutenant Colonel Pete Doc Chambers. That's one of the updates. We got some people in Texas rallying. And the funeral of Yo Gotti's brother, Big Juke, took place today. Oh, Lord, there's a lot of information in the queue. And right now, there's a missing young lady by the name of Ella Jones, missing. I believe she may have met somebody online. Anybody have any information pertaining to that? Please call your local authority. Pinto, birds of a feather. Well, that's why I said you can't always believe things that come out about a family. Family, it's all the same. Family, friends, they tell you what they want to tell you. I don't have to tell you I know that my brother or sister uses drugs. That's none of your business. I'll tell you what I want to tell you. And as I said, people always need somebody to blame. That's just the way it is. Doesn't mean it's right, but that's the way it is. And everybody's opinion is going to differ, depending on how they raised, their own personal issues with drugs, if they had a drug problem, if their sister used drugs. Everybody's got their own feeling, about drugs. I think, and I'm going to be honest with you, I've only dealt with one person that I can actually say that I know probably still uses drugs that I actually, kind of liked because he was, the same all the time. But I can't say that for everybody that use drugs. A lot of people change when they use drugs. They become like, public enemy number one. They are they're just intolerable. Some people, same thing with an alcoholic. Could have been really nice, but then once they get on their booze, they're a totally different person. Everybody's tolerance level is different as far as, dealing with people. Let's see what they have here. This is News Nation. Just bringing you basically same information, just worded different each live stream.
Linda, how did the meetings go today with the Platte County prosecutors?
It went well. We got just reassurance that they are looking into this case fully.
Okay.
They didn't give any specifics on, evidence or what they found or what they haven't found. They just reassured us that it is being investigated.
Did they make any mention of Jordan Willis and reports that he checked himself into rehab recently?
They only mentioned that there is a rumor of that. They don't have any verification of that.
But they acknowledged they had heard that same report.
Yes, they did acknowledge that.
Linda, did they give any further descriptions of the way the bodies were found in the backyard?
No, they did not. And they said they weren't going to give specifics because they didn't want to taint the investigation. They didn't want to paint any possible anything going forward. So they just weren't getting into specifics.
And it must be so frustrating, especially since this most recent report that David Harrington was found seated in one of those lawn chairs out back. Did they say anything about what David and Ricky and Clayton were wearing out back?
Good question.
They did not. Like I said, they did not give us anything on the investigation side. They didn't want to possibly, if you were called in to be what is the word I'm looking for? If you were called into court to answer questions, they didn't want to take what you might say.
Understandable. I know that April Mahoney, who is Clayton McGinney's fiance, made the discovery, at least of one of the bodies. Can you explain that or describe that as you have learned from her? How exactly did she see the body that she saw? Was it through a window? Did she go into the backyard? Like, how did it happen?
My understanding is she entered the house through the front into the basement. And she went upstairs and was looking through a window and saw the body seated on the back patio in the chair.
Wow, upstairs. Are you all hearing this? This is why I was tripping yesterday when I went live. I told you I like to hear things verbatim because it was too open-ended for my taste. So one of you in the chat had said something about a person going upstairs, and I was kind of rude about that comment because I said, who the hell would go upstairs? Why would I go upstairs if I came in? My assumption, she came in through the basement. So this makes no sense to me. See, this is why I hate all this. He said, she said, shit. Damn. She came through the front. I got to hear it. This ain't making no sense to me.
It happened.
This is crazy.
My understanding is she entered the house through the front into the basement. And she went upstairs and was looking through a window and saw the body seated on the back patio in the chair.
So that would be the window. That is two windows up there that will be above the back door, because he has a door that you can enter in and out of with a doggy door. The chair is sitting right there. Naturally, the chair didn't have to be right there because, they had to take the dead person out the chair, of course. But two windows are on top, and they look over two bottom windows and a door, a doggy door with glass in the door. Then beside that door with the doggy door, there's a window. Then beside that window on the bottom level is the the sliding glass doors where another chair is sitting in front of that. Then you go around the corner. There are 2 more pane windows before you would then go around to the other side of the house where the fence meets that side. So this is very bizarre to me. Why would you go upstairs first? Because the person who spoke, which I believe is the same family, Ricky's family, you all said she could see like straight through the glass door to see Mr. Harrington's body sitting in the chair. So which is it? Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, Lord. I'm confused. Will somebody please hit this damn link? Because I'm utterly confused. I honestly think after this case gets a finale, I don't want to talk about true crime anymore. Because this is where I get very irritated. This is why I always tell people why I don't like bickering back and forth about what somebody said. For the very reason of what she just said, this is not the version you gave the other day. You said she could look through the glass from where she was standing and see him in the chair. Now you're saying she looked out the window. So which is it? Because remember during the live stream yesterday, I said, well, where is the couch in proximity to that door? The great room or open room or den?
So she was able to see through a window
Lord.
that David Harrington was seated in that lawn chair on that back patio. Did she mention if it was the kitchen window or if it was the doorway window or it might be a sunroom or a breakfast nook? Did she mention which window?
He did not, and I have not personally talked to her. This is just information that I have received secondhand.
See, right there is my damn point. Thank you, ma'am, for saying that. This is exactly what I'm talking about right here. Why, when people come into the chat with stuff and they comment, people may think I'm being rude. This is why I always ask a question pertaining to what you're saying, for this very reason. This is what I heard. Oh, Lord. So where is she now? So I'm going to say this to Banfield and Mr. Cuomo and Miss Vargas. Are you all going to talk to the damn girl and ask her verbatim what she saw? Wouldn't that make sense? Because one version, you all made it seem like she could see from like wherever she was in a room on the bottom level near the kitchen. And she could see straight through the door. That's why I said, well, were the blinds open? I said, I'm assuming the blinds were open or curtains were open for her to see straight through the door to where she could see him before even getting out the door. I don't know.
Your husband, Ricky, asked to come and identify Ricky's son, Ricky Jr. Who made the identification for the police?
We were not asked to go identify the body. They told us that the bodies had to thaw out. They were frozen. And that could have possibly have taken to that Friday. Well, we weren't really going to wait that long. So I called the medical examiner the next day and I started describing Ricky's tattoos and his piercings, and she told me that was one of the deceased that she had.
Did you ask if you could come and make that identification personally yourselves?
I did ask the I did call the police and ask them if that is something we could do so we could get identification sooner, because you still hold out hope that he is going to come home. You want to make sure that that's him. I was told that that's something that you only see in movies. People to identify what.
Are you hearing this? Oh my goodness. What do you mean see in movies? Well, how are you going to identify the person? So basically, what are you all trying to say? You all, the police department, you want to identify them by fingerprints? Well, everybody doesn't have a criminal record. This don't make no damn sense. Thank you, Demetrius. Demetrius, you want to come up here and hit the link, because these other people don't want to hit the link to give their commentary. I'm starting to get very irritated because I don't understand these police department. Why would you not want them to come in to identify the body? This makes no damn sense to me. This is why the people thought you all didn't care about the men's deaths, for this very reason right here. Why would you not want them identified? Help me understand. I'm confused. And then she's getting hearsay about the bodies. I mean, about, oh, Lord have mercy. This is so, and then people wonder why I don't like talking about true crime. For this reason right here, this bullshit. Because it's exhausting what the he said and she said. What did I tell you yesterday? What this story is like. Anybody ever watched Tales from the Crypt and the Twilight Zone? What did I tell you about the people riding in the car? They keep passing the same damn diner. And the woman says to the husband, I thought we passed that diner 20 minutes ago. Oh, I don't remember. Then he keeps driving. They're talking, listening to the radio. Boom, boom, boom. Come back by the diner again. What is the moral of the story? You got to get out of the damn car and park at the diner. This is ridiculous. Say what? The kid's broken. Oh, okay. Okay, it's fine. But do you have an iPad or a computer that you can come up on, sweetie? This is oh my God. Oh. Whew, I got a damn headache. See, the cousin just said in the commentary I played that he doesn't want to say that the police are not doing their job. He just wants to make sure they get everything correct, and I concur. But then when you hear something like this, you didn't even want the people to come and see the body. You knew the girl had went over there and knew that she saw the cars there. You knew that it would eventually get back to the parents and relatives that the guy's cars are there. So why would you not want the people to come identify the body? You're talking about they only do that in the movies. What the hell are you talking about? That's bullshit. Now stop this nonsense. You want me to sit here and believe nobody ever goes to the morgue in Kansas City to identify a damn body? No, I don't believe that. Now y'all stop that damn bullshit now.
To be clear, they said that's only something they do in the movies if you wanted to identify.
Are you hearing this?
Yourselves. Is that clear?
Oh my God, I'm dead.
Yes, that's
Well, whoever said that needs to be fired.
Go to newsnationnow.com.
I'm not playing no more of this garbage. No, I'm being serious. I'm pissed off. Because this is ignorant. It's as if you're not even talking about real dead people right now. See, this is why people make such whack-ass comments when you hear stories like this. People's minds start, going on and on. They start making up stuff and coming up with all type of wild-ass theories and crazy nonsense. Look at this right here. And I don't believe she's lying. Why would she lie? I don't see anybody lying about that. Oh, they won't let me come down there and identify the body. The movies have become our reality now, Queen. Freaking Twilight Zone up in here. I mean, Some people don't need to say anything, not you, if they ain't seen or witnessed it. What do you mean, Demetrius? I've never heard of such. That's only in the movies. I'm going to pretend I did not just hear her say that. Oh, that's only in the movies. Well, then how would they retrieve the body then for the damn funeral? Or to say it's my child, my sister? Are y'all hearing this? I don't really have nothing to say now. Lord Jesus, what a mess. I'm so dumbfounded right now. I'm speechless. Well, more victims have been linked to Mr. Rex Heuermann, the suspected serial killer of Gilgo Beach victims. I will bring that. You know what? I'm being serious. Oh my God. I give up. Ashley, yes. This is News Nation. Well, you know, Ashley's been doing some weird whack shit the past year, especially with the Idaho 4 and all that. But what Ashley has said and done don't have nothing to do with what this woman said. This is what the woman said they told her. And I'm trying to understand what SOB would tell you. That's only in the movies that people identify bodies at the morgue. What the fuck are you saying? Well, then how are they going to know if it's their loved one or not, or their friend or whatever? This doesn't make any sense. How are you going to get the fucking body out of the morgue to get it to the damn funeral home? Oh, let me guess. You're just going to throw a body at the door? Hey, we found this person. We think it belongs to you. Now, I can't verify it's your son or not. Like you're rolling the dice at a damn dice game. Is it my son? It's not my son. This is bullshit. I tell you what. With that type of comment, I'm starting to wonder what was actually found at the scene. Oh, hell yeah. I'm starting to wonder what was on the persons and what was in the house, because if there was some a nice substantial amount of real street drugs, did you even report it and put it in the evidence lockup room bingo card? Yeah, I'm going there now. Because I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. The victims, this Mr. Jordan, this Alex character, this girl, the police. But somebody had said something in somebody's chat, and that was a comment made about the police maybe not doing their damn job. And I'm starting to wonder what is really going on here. Did the guys have money on them? Anybody missing a credit card, debit card, cash app card? Yeah, I'm saying it. Jury missing. Hell, maybe we got some dirty cops working. Yeah, I'm saying it. Since you can't give nobody no damn information. Oh, it's just a bunch of junkies that got high, steal their wallet, steal their money, steal the dope. Yeah, I'm going there because this doesn't make any sense to me. And I feel like if you've got this type of fucked up ass attitude, what else are your officers capable of? Because you can't have one without the other. And I don't believe in judging everybody the same. You get one bad rogue cop, rogue sergeant, but this shit is sinking sand right now. She's repeating he said, she said about who saw the damn victims, how she saw them. Why the fuck am I going upstairs to look for people? Why would I go up there? I thought she came through the basement. Oh, man. I'm so damn confused. What's up with the scene and how could police allow the guy to move out? Isn't a crime scene? No, because they probably didn't think it was no crime scene. They saw 3 dead people. They probably automatically assumed it was drugs. So they probably went in, talked to him, asked him a few questions, took him in. They loaded up the bodies, took the bodies to the morgue, wait for the medical examiner to do the autopsy, ask him a bunch of questions, what they were doing, not doing. You got to now ask, did they secure the inside of the house? Like I said, swab his hands, take any DNA from him, cut his hair to see if he's used drugs or whatever. I don't know what these people did. The police looks outside, don't look in the, what? Inside. Well, honey, they have to look inside. Why would you not look inside? Common sense will tell you if it's cold outside, they know damn well them guys ain't sat outside all night. Because as she just asked, what were they wearing? So if they were out there, didn't have no coats on, well, you should know their coats will be inside. You'd have to go inside. They're not going to sit outside to investigate no crime. You got to go in at some point. That makes no sense. It's a difference if you are found dead outside the convenience store or in a field. Then that's your circumference. You'll work just that area where the body was found. But they weren't found in an open field. You know what I'm saying? They weren't found on a lake. This is some bullshit. Oh, you got that right. And I know somebody right now. She moved from, what was that, San Diego or Sacramento, whatever, to Kansas City. That's where her parents are now, Kansas City. And I thought, phew, Lord mercy, you went from one crazy ass place to the next. Oh, hell no. Yeah, you're right. I don't even stop the car in Kansas City. You need gas, keep driving. Keep you some plastic containers of gas. Seriously. I'm just saying. Don't stop your car. Don't stop your car in Kansas City. This is ridiculous. I mean, this is ridiculous. And you know how stupid you look. She's repeating this on a national platform. Because somebody's going to weigh in on what she just said. You just wait. That's going to be your next headline in an article. Why did this stepmom say they only do that on TV movies? Oh, Lord have mercy. This is just a very ridiculous story. I was trying to think positive after they met with the district attorney, that they were pleased with whatever was said. But this part of the interview, this was just uploaded 15 hours ago. This is just whack to me. This is absolutely whack. Exactly. We've picked the case apart and still can't make it make sense. Yeah. Because let them tell it, oh, once you get the autopsy report and the toxicology report, everything's going to make sense. It ain't going to make no sense to me. Because anybody that would say something like that to somebody's loved one, I've never heard of such. You got a stank ass attitude. You shouldn't be answering the damn phone. Maybe they got tired of people calling. Maybe a lot of people were calling about the Kansas City 3 case, and they just were pissed off, not knowing if she was the real mother or not. But it doesn't matter. She don't know who to call. If nobody came up to her, made a personal visit, gave her a business card, her and the husband, they did not give them a card to say, hi, I'm Detective such and such. I'm working this death investigation. If you have any questions, ma'am, give me a call. She didn't have no choice but to call. It's not her fault. Jesus Christ. Damn. Then they wonder why people don't like talking to the police. You got this fucking stinky ass attitude. She's just trying to get information about her stepson. The father can't speak. He obviously has some type of, cancer or throat issues. So she has to navigate for him. Oh man, I can't deal with this shit. I want to end into this story. Seriously, I like an ending. I'm tired of talking about this now. I don't keep talking about this because when you got people acting this ignorant, the police want to talk this ignorant to somebody. I mean, you all need better representation. But this don't make no sense. I'm going to do some research. Hold on a minute. Because I wouldn't talk to somebody like that. All you had to do, let her identify herself, whether you believe her or not, and say, here, I'll give you detective such and such name. He's working on the case or she's working on the case. Here's their number. And then you're out of it. You're sitting here working the desk. Probably somebody that's been in trouble and they're pissed off they're working the damn desk duty. Probably a janky ass cop that's been in damn trouble, been on reprimand. So they're pissed off they're working the damn duty desk. Well, that's not our problem. I'm going to do some research right quick, you guys. Excuse my manners, but that just pissed me off when she said that. I was like, what are they talking about? Where would you say that to somebody? It's crazy as hell. There was a young lady found the other day in Nashville, Tennessee. And she had a 5-month-old baby, I think, 5-month-old baby. The baby died as well. They do believe drugs are involved. So, a few people had little smart comments to make in the comment section saying, well, why would it not be neglect from the mother? Because if the mother was getting high, naturally she died. And then the baby, I guess, starved to death. But you can't try the mother because she's dead. But I understand the point that they were making. Oh, it's just sad. I don't know. Let's get a little information about drugs. For those who have never used drugs or sold drugs, don't know about fentanyl, heroin, we're gonna take a little trip. Hold on one second. Just try to get a little information. Because I always like to show people things instead of just talking about stuff hypothetical.
This week at the opioid epidemic, Dr. Andreas Bienert of Master Center for Addiction in Hampton explains what happens to the body when someone overdoses.
Every 4 hours in Virginia, someone dies of an overdose death.
As a person overdoses on drugs, their brain releases dopamine.
Dopamine is essentially the pleasure chemical that is supposed to provide us with stress relief and a feeling of calm.
And dopamine can be a good thing.
That's originally designed to deal with
survival
instinct and survival mechanism.
Until you get too much.
It means there's more dopamine released within the nervous system than the brain naturally is able to cope with and able to handle.
That means your brain is starting to flood with the chemical. Your breathing slows down, your heart rate starts to crawl, and the body begins to shut down.
The brain simply is too overwhelmed and basically says, I can't handle that, okay? And that leads to the shutdown and, physiologically speaking, the overdose in that regard.
Well, fentanyl accounts for 72% of all fatal overdoses in Virginia.
72% in Virginia. Wow, that's deep. Dear God. That's scary. 72%, that's high. Just bringing you a little information. I always like to, like I said, I always like to bring a little bit of information to my channel instead of just, bringing you, conversations about, about certain things. But let's see, we get a little. Trying to see something. It's hard to find anything here.
On the doorstep of San Francisco's main government building, a snapshot of America's fentanyl crisis. It doesn't just look stark. An average of one person every 10 hours dies in this city of a fentanyl overdose. It's often here in the drug-ravaged Tenderloin district. Are you a fentanyl user?
Absolutely. I've been an opiate addict for probably 10 years.
Trevor used to inject heroin, but fentanyl, he says, is a different beast, and he wants everyone to know.
I mean, the fact that this isn't a main issue, on TV every night is insane to us. I've never seen anything like it. I'll meet regular people, square Joes, on their way to work, and they'll stop, hang out with me, try this drug for the first time, and then leave their life. Literally, not leave. From that moment on, they're just out here with us.
Is that what fentanyl does?
To some people, it's insane. I've never seen anything like it. No one has.
What's it doing to the streets?
Man, it's turning everybody into, a crazy.
I'm watching this video. You can check it out on Sky News. Uploaded 8 months ago. Fentanyl, the $1 million street strewn with bodies contorted by, so on and so forth. One black guy is bent over literally with his pants halfway off. They're off his buttocks. He's bent over. The other guy's in a wheelchair and his pants are coming off of his bottom. What in the hell is going on? Oh, mercy. I do believe that this fentanyl makes people become contortionists from what I've seen. People in the streets tend to like to be bent over for some weird reason. I don't know what it's doing or why it's making people want to bend all the way over, like touch your toes. It's very strange, but I've seen that. I don't know if that's fentanyl doing that or what the people were taking, but I've seen that in a lot of videos in the past year. It's very strange.
Violent.
I know, but do that somewhere else. Y'all smoking crack right here. There's an AK right there.
We're interrupted by private
That's
security,
the police? Oh,
asking them to move out
security.
Of the nursery. This is a city divided on how to deal with the scourge of drugs. Some want the streets swept. Others prefer a more compassionate, health-based approach.
No one wants to end up with a manslaughter charge because someone dies from their product.
Jeff is a former drug dealer and says testing is the answer.
2 stripes would be a negative result. One stripe would be a positive result. Yep. So there's that second line showing up right now.
Simple strip tests are now being used by dealers and users to check for fentanyl. It sometimes contaminates other drug supplies like cocaine. I know you work with one of the largest Mexican street gangs helping test their cocaine to make sure it doesn't have fentanyl in it or traces of fentanyl in it. How does that work?
Well, I guess they don't care.
Customers start to notice that people are dying from a batch of cocaine.
Jeff Stewart, former drug dealer.
Autopsy results are showing that it's because of an opioid overdose. No one's buying that cocaine anymore. I mean, it just doesn't make financial sense to kill your customer base.
That's what I was saying. What's the purpose?
Beside a homeless encampment, a charity has set up.
I want to address Jeff's comment. What is the point in me selling drugs? I need the money. You need the dope. Why am I going to try to kill the customer? I think I said this to somebody recently, a few months ago. I said, I don't really understand, putting all this SHIT with the drugs for what? For what? You make more money if the customer comes back. It's just like doing any type of business, laying concrete, paving a driveway, building a swimming pool, putting up cabinets in your house. Yeah, the swindle is, okay, I don't really plan on finishing the kitchen job, let's say. So I get a $1,500 deposit or $2,500 deposit. So then you give me the money, and then I either show up, half do the job, don't come back, finish. Then I go on to the next person, get their $2,500. Okay, I get that. But why not do good work? Keep the business flowing by people saying word of mouth. Oh, yeah, he did a great job. He put my cabinets up. He put down the flooring, blah, blah, blah. No, you just want to get the quick $1,500, $2,500, whatever the deposit is, and then poof, voila, disappear. Well, to me, the dope game is the same. You want to be linked to all these dead-ass people out here falling down in the street? What is the point? Because somebody's going to start talking. And the streets talk, believe that. Oh, yeah, Big Rob, he got that kill. Somebody's going to say that. Where you think your friend got the drugs from? Oh, Big Rob. You think they won't tell it? Hell yeah, they'll tell it. They tell every damn thing else, they're going to tell it. Big Rob got it. So now we got to go investigate Big Rob. The Big Rob's looking crazy as hell. Damn, who done snitched on me? Oh, no, baby, we passed the snitching stage. You got the kill. So now you got to worry about a murder charge, not just trafficking drugs, selling drugs. This is crazy. Said good drug dealers know how to mix it. Well, damn, but you seen the police officers in that video in the YouTube queue where the female officer was standing there with the other officer and she touched that damn fentanyl and she went down. Did you hear me? She went down to the ground. And I was like, oh my God, she just touched the damn bag. And poof, she was on the ground. Same thing with that New York daycare. I really didn't do a lot of research into that daycare situation, but it's looking like you don't even have to imbibe the drug. You just touch the drug. So could it be that they touched the drug and didn't even imbibe it? Nobody's ever talked about that.
They hand out clean syringes and overdose reversal treatments. How has fentanyl transformed your home?
People are dying. A lot more people are dying. And it's
fighting
a
fentanyl.
lot of the drug supply, and people are doing it without knowing they're doing it. And it's made substance use horrifyingly deadly.
It's difficult to believe at times that this is one of America's great historic cities, home to more billionaires than anywhere on earth. This is 2 streets from the headquarters of Twitter, but it's an open-air drug market. It is a tragedy with no easy resolution.
Once again, what I just said,
only 12% of Americans have.
You've got the most billionaires in San Francisco than anywhere in the United States. I did not know that. And then yet you got all those people on the street on drugs. And that's probably not including the homeless as well. That's something to think about. But once again, why are the people always bent over? Please, somebody explain it to me. Because I don't know. I don't know anything about fentanyl. Fentanyl. It's black folks talk. Fentanyl, I don't know. I don't know nothing about it. I'm at a loss for words right now. Because now I'm starting to wonder, could this be that the guys didn't even ingest the drugs? Did that occur to anybody in the chat? That they may have just touched the drug and fell out? I'm just saying, because I don't know what they took. I don't know what they used, but just imagine they just touched the drug and passed out. Because it's interesting that Harrington, he's one of the heavier guys. Him and Ricky had a little weight on them. So David is the one with the thinner black hair. He's the one sitting in the chair on the patio, found sitting in a chair. And then the other two guys, Ricky and Clayton, they're out on the lawn. So I was asking, what is the footage from where the guys that were lying down were found versus where David was sitting in the chair? Yeah. Well, I know they like that old fentanyl ice and all that, whatever you call it. I don't know the damn difference, quite frankly. And I ain't trying to find out. I got enough going on. Oh, Lord.
Pure fentanyl, it is fire. Like, it is so dangerous. It's like the most horrid, wretched, pure terror you can imagine. And it feels like something slowly, like, just pulling your life force out of you. And then you get tunnel vision, starts getting smaller and smaller. And around this tunnel, it's just darkness, right? And it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, closes, and then it goes, you're dead. That's it.
You think you're dead?
No, you're dead. You're a flatline, no heartbeat, dead.
Now, how would he know that he's alive? Because would a person even remember what the feeling was before they overdose? I mean, not die? I don't understand what he's saying.
Vancouver, a city renowned for its natural beauty. A quote from the tourist board. But beneath the mountain vistas, the city has a tragic underbelly. Despite being known as one of the world's top 3 cities in which to live, a tiny neighborhood known as Downtown Eastside is experiencing a huge drug problem. Thousands of lives have been lost, and in nearly 9 out of 10 autopsies, a deadly new illicit drug has been present.
The painkiller fentanyl is now the #1 killer drug in the U.S.
You can die just by touching it.
Fentanyl. A fatal dose of fentanyl.
Fentanyl.
The potent opioid that's supposed to tranquilize elephants.
A synthetic painkiller 100 times more powerful than morphine.
Just 2 milligrams of the pure drug, which is about 4 grains of salt, is enough to kill the average adult.
Prince died
Hey,
from a
baby.
lethal amount of the painkiller
The
fentanyl.
10-year-old boy in Florida has become one of the youngest.
Overall, more than 63,000 people died of
Monster drug kills far more people than gun
And
violence.
if you don't know what fentanyl is, it is basically the new heroin, but much, much stronger.
$10 death trip.
Hey, what's up, bro? Not a whole lot. I'm on a documentary right now, brother. I'm on a documentary here talking about opioid use and shit. Yeah. I'll come talk to you in a minute. Hey, wait down here. I gotta talk to you, bro. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Just another fellow bro in the hood, you know? Friend of yours? Yeah, a good friend of mine. No, that doesn't matter. Ask no questions, I'll tell no lies.
Here in downtown Eastside, addiction is nothing new. Heroin has flowed through Vancouver's ports to this deprived part of town since the 1970s. But market forces have seen that
Downtown
heroin
East.
supply replaced.
Oh, look at the trash. Lord have
Fentanyl is
mercy.
stronger,
It's horrible.
cheaper, and much less bulky to import. Where are we going
So
now?
see, this needs to be addressed to Miss Marquez. No disrespect to you, as you've lost your son, but your son and the others, if they are, or were, avid drug users, they would have gotten the drugs wherever, with or without Jordan Willis. And that's what people need to understand about any type of drug, be it drugs, alcohol, or whatever. If I can't find it over here, then I'll go over there. And everybody knows that many people become addicted to other drugs because the drug of choice is not readily available. And that's the thing people don't understand if they've never used drugs. They've never sold drugs. Many people are now selling fentanyl. I know because I've heard people talking, trying to get the drug only because it's the hottest thing. They may not really care to sell fentanyl. Who the hell wants to die buying the damn dope or selling the dope to people? Hell, I got to make my money. I ain't trying to die. I can't make my money. And the person wanting to buy the drugs, they ain't wanting to die. They trying to get high. That's the point. Who wants to die from purchasing? Whether I'm selling it or I'm using. The gist is to either sell it, make money, or buy it to get high. Not to damn die. So if this thing could knock a damn elephant down, hell yeah. You sitting here damn near on fire touching it. Oh, pain kills? Okay. Okay, sweetheart. So, this is terrible. Just listening at the stats, 63,000 people. That's a small town. That's a small town. Just imagine a small town being wiped out. Everybody's dead. Wake up. All the people dead. Well, 63,000, probably more, don't know. Because this content is from 2 years ago.
Where would you like to go? Do you want to see what it's really like? Sure. Let's go. Let's go. This is East Hastings Street now. This is where the ghetto starts, basically.
What you're looking at is the mecca of drug addiction.
We have been an active narcotics hub for ever since I can remember. Maybe that's why I came here. I don't know. Yeah, that is probably why I came here.
Illicit fentanyl hasn't flooded the street drug supply outside North America yet. Do you think this could become a global problem? And if it does, what should people expect?
Death. Lots of fucking death. People are gonna die, and it's not gonna be pretty. It is wildfire. People will try it, love it, and they'll never quit. These streets were crowded. You're talking about 1,500, 2,000 people died just in this walk.
Mama put my guns to the ground.
Our government knows what's killing them. Now, I've seen our government address an epidemic before.
Emotion is a...
I'm going to stop right there because I'll have to do another live later. Lordy. The commentary in this live stream is pertaining to the victim's parents meeting with the district attorney. The parents of Ricky have, I guess they're okay with what has been told to them. One of the victim's cousin also spoke that Jordan Willis is the proprietor of the drugs and giving it to the guys. They went over there, I guess, to do that with him. Others, I don't know who else is involved in this, is getting high over there at the house. I don't know if this house is just known as the party house or what. Allegedly, Mr. Jordan has checked himself into a rehab. Do not have verification if that is true or not. That's just a word on the street. I don't know if something is about to be released by the police department or the state's attorney's office to tell us that they do believe this case is about drugs and the deaths are pertaining to drug overdose or just coming in contact with the drugs. I don't know. But this could be a tactical move by Mr. Jordan to try to eliminate himself, in some fashion. I don't know. Deflection. He knows something's about to come out. He knew somebody was going to start talking because the way that cousin talked to the news, people knew that these guys got high. So I had asked that before during the live streams. Did the families know that the victims got high? And if so, why didn't they say that at the beginning when the people were pronounced dead and they were ID'd? Why not just tell the truth? Yes, my brother, cousin, whomever was a drug user, instead of us going round and round in circles for 3.5 weeks speculating if it was drugs or not. Now, naturally, you always want confirmation before just assuming, even if the person is known to use drugs. So that's what we're waiting on. Toxicology and autopsy reports. So we have a lot to digest pertaining to what Mr. and Mrs. Johnson have to say. Police not wanting them to identify the body. She's calling. Somebody's rude to her on the phone. Somebody's telling her they only do that on TV, identifying of a body, which we know that's bullshit because people have to be identified every damn day. They have to be identified if they're found on the street, a house, in their own house, at work. Don't matter where you're found, in a car. Somebody has to ID you. So that's bullshit. And that type of attitude is the reason why people don't trust the police, whether they've had involvement with the law or not. That's not the way you talk to people. Somebody's dead. No matter how they got dead, it doesn't matter. They're dead. So you need to have respect when you speak to people. You may not like what they did or what you think they did. You still don't take it out on the person that's calling. They're just trying to find out what happened. So I don't like that type of attitude. Now, this could be just one bad apple in the bunch that answered the phone that was just pissed off, mad at the world because the phone kept ringing. But that's your damn job. You don't like the job? Then go work somewhere else. Hey, retire. I mean, that's how I look at it. But you don't need to be disrespectful because somebody's trying to find out what happened with their relative. Come on. Maybe we will take a dive into fentanyl use, heroin use, because I have to be careful about playing content because, when it belongs to somebody else, they can, strike the material. So I never know what I can play and not play until I get the, the warning or whatever that it's copyright use. So, you can't really play the information because a lot of times people like to hear, what people have to say about drugs, people who have used drugs, people who have sold drugs. Knowledge is key. And you can't learn anything if you don't know anything. So there are many people in the world who don't know anything about illicit drugs. They've never used, they've never seen drugs. They don't know what crack looks like. They don't know what fentanyl looks like. They don't know what heroin looks like. And they may want to see. Not necessarily want to use, but, they're just curious. There's nothing wrong with being curious because you never know what situation you might be in. You might be with somebody that actually gets high, overdose. You don't know what to do. So as I say, knowledge is key. But we obviously have an epidemic. This is the new girlfriend of the hour, Fatina. We'll just call her Fatina. She's the new girlfriend of the hour. Sad, but it's true. And it's lethal. So I would say this to anybody that wants to use, you need to tread very lightly, such as don't tread at all. Because if you can die from touching it, then what is the point? You can't get the high if you're dead. That's the whole point. And you're chasing a high that you can never get, as my father once said. He said it about crack cocaine many years ago. He said they get high, continue to get high because they're trying to get the high that they got the first time, which we already know. No matter what type of high you're chasing, you can't get that high. It's highly impossible because it's your first high. And I think a lot of users don't realize that. I'm not about to get no damn higher. I can't get that first high I got. So they continue to use. And this is really sad for these guys because, as I said, they have children. A few of them have children. And now the children don't have a parent. They were friends. They were brothers, cousins. They had parents. Now the parents no longer have a son. So it's deeper than just whatever happened in that house, be it deliberate malice or negligence. They still were human beings and somebody cared about them. Somebody loved them. Whether you condone drug usage or drug selling or not. What is going to happen with Mr. Willis? Is he going to come forward and tell the truth that he gave the guys drugs, sold them drugs, whatsoever. They all were partying together, because still the gist of the story is that he is alive. So some are still going to question that. That's why I said, I don't think this is going to end even with the toxicology reports and the autopsies. I don't. Okay. All right, honey. I don't see this ending, because he's the sole proprietor. If we're to believe he's the ringleader, the supplier, he's the only one living. So we have to ask that question now. If we're to believe the commentary of one of the relatives that has gone to News Nation, that the guys were users and Jordan supplied them with drugs, then why is Mr. Jordan still standing? Is it that he gave the guys some type of concoction that he did not imbibe in? Is that where this story is going? I'm curious. He supplied something, whatever it was, but he didn't imbibe, number one. Alex was there, saw them using drugs, but he didn't imbibe. Because what's the purpose in texting somebody that people are using drugs if you were using? You would only tell somebody that, oh yeah, we all getting high right now. So maybe Alex isn't a user. I don't know. You hear that same cousin speaking highly of him, that he was a good guy. But guess what? That's what we've heard about all of them. Did we not? Nobody has said anything negative pertaining to the relatives. So that's why this is a very interesting story. Nobody has spoken highly of Mr. Jordan, which is strange. And the guys who we now are known to be users, everybody has spoken highly of them. Could this be almost like clickbait? You all didn't want to tell the truth that they were users because you knew it would be a bad look in the beginning to say, oh yeah, they use, because it'd be open shut, perhaps. Okay, families admit they all use. Case closed. No investigation. What is the truth here? Prayers to the families. And prayers to anybody that wants to imbibe in fentanyl and any other type of illicit drugs. If you need help, you need to try to find some agency, rehab center that can help you, because this isn't the life that you want for yourself. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. You are entitled to do what you want over the age of 18, but as you've heard, brief commentary of this documentary here and the other description of what the drugs do to you, this isn't a life that you want for yourself. You don't want to be out here on the streets, having to steal, rob, sell your body, overdose, somebody leave you there, don't go call 911, don't try to revive you. Why would you want that for yourself? That's not a life you want. And we see that it will be a short life because people are overdosing every day. So this isn't a life that you would want for yourself. This isn't a life you would want for your children, your family members. So if you know anybody that's even thinking about experimenting or is currently imbibing, try to talk to the person and say, hey, this isn't the life that you want. You can do better than this. You don't want this for yourself. And I don't wish this on anybody, because I have seen years of addiction of crack cocaine when crack was very prevalent, coming from the 90s on in this general area. And it took down so many people, friends of friends, relatives, neighbors, employees, so on and so forth. Everybody and their mama was using crack cocaine. And yes, they used it for a long time. That's the one thing I can say about crack cocaine during those years. It was just an everlasting drug. You can just get high and high and high. And it did not necessarily take you down like heroin, but the effects came later, such as heart disease. It messes with your nervous system. That's why you always see people were scratching the back of their necks that use crack cocaine. They form bumps on the back of the nape because naturally it's messing with your nervous system. Whatever they will put in it to blow the crack up when cooking it, you're breaking out. That's affecting you. All that stuff they're using to cut it. So long-term effects down the road. Many people who have used crack for 20, 30 years, they end up dying of heart disease because it weakens the heart, okay? Hello, lip lock. Just a sad situation. So I was waiting for the truth to try to immerse itself out in this case, and I think we've got a bit of the truth. Because right now you can't have one without the other with implicating Mr. Willis as the supplier. So what I'm going to ask is, who else is going to come out and tell us something about that night? That's what I'm curious. Will we hear that somebody else was in the house? Somebody else was imbibing drugs with the men? And why is Mr. Willis the only one standing besides Mr. Alex? Because now I have to say Mr. Alex allegedly didn't use drugs, but he just happened to be there witnessing them using drugs. So then one can always say, well, how do we know that he didn't witness them overdose when he got scared and he left because he didn't want any involvement? That's why he and Mr. Jordan were going back and forth with the lawyer business. And then Alex gets a lawyer. I think it's interesting that Alex can't be found by this reporter. Why is that? You went and got a lawyer. You refuted Jordan's claims, and now you can't be found. This is very wicked. Because like I said, it's going to be jacked up if we find out Alex was there when they died, whether inside or outside, and he bolted. Good friend or not, bestie or not, he was in the clique or not, that ain't got a damn thing to do with what can be considered a fucking crime. People leave the scene of shit every day and don't tell nobody. Yeah, I was in there. Yeah, I saw him dead. Yeah, I saw Pookie get shot. You know why they won't tell. Because they don't want to have to go to court and testify. Ding, 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 ding. Hell no, I ain't telling what happened to my homeboys. Because we don't even know the laws in that damn state. If they ring you up on charges for being in the room or seeing death or handing the people the drugs. I don't know the laws there. So I have to do research on that to know the laws, because maybe there were more people in there that witnessed the men pass out and everybody bolted and got out of there and left old Jordan alone with the dead people. Now imagine that, as we have pondered that as well. Jordan knew damn well they were dead, but he had to play possum because he knew the ramifications of handing them drugs, getting high with them, testimonies that he keeps drugs. But the law still says you got to prove an allegation. That's my commentary. Thank you all for joining me this afternoon. God bless all of you. Please check out my extensive library in the queue, 2,000 plus videos. Thank you, new subscribers, viewers, continued chat members and listeners. Okay. 3 years ago, my cousin passed from poisoning of F. His name was Chris. He tried probably everything. Then F came along. He didn't know, and he was gone. Oh, sorry to hear that. Well, as I played briefly information from a documentary, it's a lethal drug that has a lot of users currently in the United States, and a lot of people have lost their lives to fentanyl, heroin. So my message to anybody that wants to even sample it, imbibe, I say no. I say no to all of it. I don't care if it's cocaine. I don't care if it's pills, Molly, whatever the hell they're calling it, sugarfoot, sugar mama, whatever, leave it alone. You don't want it. Because why do you want to get a problem? And that's the one thing people don't understand about using drugs. It may seem fun. You're chilling with your friends. Somebody pass you a pill. Somebody pass you a painkiller, Xanax, whatever. You take it. You're upset. You feeling good. Whatever the mood you're in. The point is, you don't know how it's going to affect you. You don't know if you're going to become addicted to it or not. So why take the risk? And if you already got problems, financial problems, men problems, children problems. Oh, a drug problem is getting ready to be a whole new problem. Because, yeah, you getting ready to bypass that life, as you heard this young white guy saying. You come to the street, get this fentanyl. Oh, that life is over. Now you out here with us. Okay, well, that new life, you got to now find a way to get high. So how you going to get high if you can't keep a job? So then you're going to have to do something devious, illegal, to get high. And that also is risky and can cause you to lose your life. Stealing and robbing and scheming. You don't want that life. That's not a life you want. And I would tell that to anybody. The nicest of people have had to commit crimes just so they can get high. And that's a terrible thing, to be walking around being a decent human being, a decent mother, a decent friend, decent worker. And then now you have forfeited all of that just so you can chase up fentanyl, a pill, a crack, or whatever you want. And now you got to get out here and get in the gutter with the rats just so you can keep the high going. You don't want that life. Because this is how a lot of people end up dead. They turn to sex work, which is a very dangerous job. You can get human trafficked, kidnapped, hold up in a house hotel, sleeping with a bunch of strangers, rape, gang rape. You don't want this life. And that's what young people need to understand. And I was watching a video in the queue the other day in the shorts, and this guy was talking to this young pretty girl. And she was homeless, and he was asking her how she got there. And she said, because I wouldn't listen to my parents. And she says, oh, how I want to go back home. So I was reading the comments, and so many people felt so sad for her. And they were like, Lord, please get her back home. Please, if you're her mother or father, take her back. Now, naturally, we don't know what she did at the house or what she did to disobey her parents. I don't know if it was really a safe environment at her house. I mean, I don't know the circumstances. I don't know what the kid could have done, to get to the streets. But the streets is not a place. She's not your friend. He's not your friend. The streets are treacherous because the streets are made up of treacherous people. Most of them are probably wounded birds, and then they either succumb to the madness and then they become predators. That's not what you want for yourself. And I'll just say that. You just do not want to be out there in the street. It's a terrible place to be. And this is the reason why I made the comment earlier why people don't like fooling with people who live a street life, because they know what comes with it. It becomes a problem. It becomes dangerous. They feel like they can't trust the person, living in their house, visiting their house, knowing what they have in their house, giving them rides, places. This is why a lot of people end up in terrible situations. If you go back to my content from last year, a young lady by Miss Emily, her grandmother was found unresponsive inside of her own car. 2 people were driving her car, and the granddaughter came up on the panel and talked to me about it. And she feels like, they know something. Her nails were broken. She didn't have any shoes on in the car. And she said she would have never let anybody drive her car. She was missing $800 or so. The girl who was driving the car, whatever, she gave some of the money back or something. I believe they did something to her. And I guess the grandmother did have a drug problem previously, but the granddaughter said she had not been using. So I'm going to go on that she hadn't been using. She looked healthy from what the pictures I'd seen of her. She always kept her nails manicured, but who knows what they did. Now, there was a needle cap found in the back seat of the car. Emily told the detectives, you missed something in the car. So, number one, did they all get high that day? Did they set her up to rob her? Because her money was missing. Did she get high? Did they inject her with something and she died? Moral of the story is they took her out of her own car, dumped her at the fire hall, and took off in her car and dumped her car at a gas station. I think that speaks to intent, robbery. So whether the grandmother relapsed and got back on the drugs or not, the point is they stole her money and they dumped her at the fire hall. True story. And that young lady, we are good friends to this day. She loved her grandmother because the grandmother raised her, and I believe her and her brother and other relatives. And she was like their mother. And she speaks highly of her even to this day. She does not believe the grandmother was getting high. But like I said, even if the grandmother was, it's still something nefarious because her money was missing. Her nails were broke. She didn't have any shoes on. Syringe cap found in the back seat. And she was disheveled looking when she was dumped at the fire hall. So to me, it's foul play to me in my eyes. That's my opinion. And so far, I haven't heard anything else about that case. And I told her, I said, this is how this is. They're probably viewing it as your grandmother got high with them. They panicked and dumped her off. But that still doesn't excuse why her money's missing. And then the girl gave some of the money back, I believe. So that lets me know you stole the money. And why would you steal the money? So one could say, well, maybe the grandmother overdosed, and then they just went on and took the money since they knew she had it. Because she said her grandmother always kept her money in her bra. So you would have to have known that the lady kept her money in her bra. Stay woke. Very diabolical story. Oh, Lordy. Thank you, Marie. I'm going to get off of here. You all have a wonderful afternoon. I'm going to try to get with my other story later about Levon Major. This young man wants to speak to the public about having his content for his transportation business stolen by Mr. Levon. God, say his name wrong. Javon Major and Sandy Broussard were just arrested a few days ago in Texas, wherever they were, and for fraud, theft, funeral home scamming. And there's a man out there who had his content stolen by Mr. Javon. Javon took his content and put it on his IG page as his funeral home business, and it's copyright infringement. And we also learned from people who spoke at the press conference in Houston that they also stole other funeral home businesses' videos to promote as their own. So these two have been busy bees. And we also believe Family Care Mortuary out of Bay City, Texas, they're also in cahoots with him because he used to work for Miss Diane Cotton Brown. And I believe she's fraudulent as well. She doesn't have any new content on her funeral page that's on Facebook. And I will do another video pertaining to her as well. We want to take all these people down because they're gutter. And like I said, nobody's perfect, but scamming people for the dead, your ass just ain't fit. Because there's too many ways out here to make money now than to be doing all this stealing content off of people's websites and videos and transporting dead bodies and just throwing them in cars and in churches and garages and not embalming them. I mean, if this is how you want to make money, you need to go see a psychiatrist because that means there's something wrong with you. Oh, I will definitely let you know, honey. Thank you so much. Hello, Hagen. Thank you. Thank you so much. A few more people came in the chat. Thank you all so much. I'll be back to bring you the latest updates. But Brian Korberger's attorneys are trying to get the trial moved out of Latau County. Rex Heuermann is linked to more victims. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to bring you. And then they got all that mess going on out in Texas with the convoy trucks and the border. I have yet to bring that migration story. I'm so sorry. I cannot seem to bring my content because of all this other shenanigans. Oh, it's like it's always something. But you all have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you. You have been listening to the Vote XL.